Grab your drinks and have a seat. It's time for serial killers.
Hello, we're here.
And by we, she means both of us.
I'm T,
I'm Jay.
and we're here to tell you about serial killers if you haven't caught on yet. It's what we like to talk about.
And we like to gab, and we talk about what we drink.
We do all the things. All the things.
We do it all.
Nothing really of importance to talk about, really.
Yeah. Crocs with socks.
Ugh.
Do you do it or do you not?
Fair question. I actually think Crocs are very uncomfortable with or without socks, but I cannot wear them without socks. They hurt my feet so bad.
And I'm wondering if it's like a generational thing. Like,
You like Crocs, though.
but I only wear them with socks. I
But
don't
you like them how they feel with
Yes,
socks.
I do.
I don't. I think they're very, very uncomfortable.
I like squishy.
They're not. Mine are not squishy. Mine are hard.
Bruh.
You should try mine on. They're not.
I'll break them in
comfortable.
for you.
I've had them for like 2 years almost, and they still have the bumps on the bottom of them, and they hurt my
Then
feet.
you've barely worn them.
I wear them to the airport
Let
every time I
Let your
fly.
son break them in.
Yeah, that's true.
Crocs
There's
with socks.
people out there who go to Disneyland and swear by wearing Crocs all day.
I saw it. We saw it when we were there.
I just don't know if my feet could handle. Well, I don't
I'll
know.
tell
Maybe
you
I should
what.
try it one of these times. 'Cause damn.
There's some hardcore people that go to Disneyland though, because as a shoe person, I'm constantly looking at feet, and what shoes people are wearing and stuff like that. And like, people are walking around all day at Disneyland in like Chuck Taylors. Like,
For
I
real.
just don't. And again, maybe my age, maybe
well,
my feet.
okay, but
I
I
need
walk
support.
around all day in Superstars, which also a lot of people probably like, oh my God, because Superstars are kind of heavy, but they're just so comfortable.
It's not just that though, and maybe it's your feet, but it's the flat. Like, I have high arches, so
I mean, I have
need
arches,
the
but I
support.
don't have high arches.
But it's like that, just the flat of like the Chuck Taylor or people wearing Vans or anything that's like.
No, the people I see who are wearing like those Converse and shit, the problem for me is there's no cushioning on the bottom, right?
and
It's like wearing flip-flops all day. I could wear a flip-flop all day, but not at Disneyland.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not dogging. More power to you. People they're wearing boots. There's all sorts of
Cowboy
stuff, and I'm
boots. We
just
saw somebody in
like,
cowboy
hey,
boots. I was like, damn.
that, you know, I tip my hat to you. I couldn't do it. I gotta find some squishy, comfy, like Walker
wear
runner
Brooks.
shoes. Hell yeah,
Well,
we do.
I wear Brooks. I rotate shoes. So here's a tip for all of you people.
I bring a different shoe for almost every day we're
Listen,
there.
I know that this is not a podcast about Disney, but I'm just going to give you one Disney tip and then we'll move on. My tip for you is if you go to Disneyland or Disney World, it does not matter. Make sure you bring at minimum 2 pairs of shoes.
Minimum.
So that you can rotate the days you wear them. In reality, if you can, bring one for every single day. And it doesn't matter if they're all the same shoes. Like, I have 2 pairs of Superstars that are both, they're Disney themed, and I will literally wear one day, the next one the next day, and then I'll wear probably like another shoe. But I typically bring 3 shoes if I'm going for 3 days to Disneyland. If I was going to Disney World, I'd probably bring 3 shoes and just rotate them out. But it doesn't matter what shoes you bring. Bring 2 at the minimum so you can rotate your shoes out because it gives your feet a rest from those shoes.
And if you've never
all day
gone
long.
before and you're planning to, or you do eventually, do some walking training before you go. Because
It's not the walking, it's the standing.
Yeah, but if you're there for like a 3-day park hopper pass, like we weren't cruising.
We
and
just
we
got
still
back.
Put
Remember, we just got back.
We still put in 27 miles over the 3 days.
A little over 27 miles in 3 days.
So
we
if
walked.
you're, that's the other thing is if you're
It's a
not
lot.
used to walking like that, then your feet are gonna hurt.
And
like
your
it's just
back
what it is.
and
So
your-
absolutely.
we are old as shit,
Still
but
recouping.
you bet your ass we did it.
Hell
We
yeah,
did
we
it,
did.
but we sat a lot more this trip than we have in the past, but we realized we can because we're so seasoned
we're efficient
at going
on
into
doing
Disneyland.
what we need.
Always get everything we want done plus more. And by the third day, we're like, well, what do you want to do? I don't know. Just hang out because it's like there's not much that we haven't done. So
and you reward yourself with some sweet ice cream on your way out
every single night.
every time.
So anyways, this is not a podcast about Disneyland,
Nope.
But it is, I swear to you, I want to start a podcast, a third one. I want to do a third podcast that literally is all things Disney. I just don't know if I can, but I want to.
We'd have to go to Disney a lot more.
No, not Disneyland necessarily, just Disney, Disney news, Disneyland, talk about the worlds, talk about bucket lists, talk about rides. Like that would be so fun to just have Disney chat. I just don't know if I have the time to pick up a third podcast, but it would be fun to do a podcast that we just chit chat about shit and I don't have like a scripted story that I tell.
Well, and just before we move on to what we're drinking, here in the next podcast or two, we're going to have a special guest on our podcast. We've got family visiting. They're super interested on jumping on the podcast with us, so look forward to that. We'll have a third kind of chatting with us, and we'll see how it goes. It should be fun.
Sure thing. So first, okay, what are you drinking today?
I've got, because it's nice and warm outside, a nice little iced tea with, yes, still sugar, but not as much. Trying to cut back. Just trying to balance the sweet with the dirt.
Okay. I am drinking actually a sugar-free ginger ale. Not a huge fan of this ginger ale. For anybody who drinks ginger ale, this is not the Seagram's, which is the best ginger ale. It is actually Canada Dry ginger ale, but it's the only availability I can find in sugar-free. And I have to drink sugar-free. I actually prefer sugar-free anyways because I swear like all the sugary ones are just, they're too much.
I bet you there's other ginger ale out there that's like on point.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there is, but out of the ones that I have tried.
Yeah.
But I am drinking the sugar-free ginger ale because it's as close as I can get to the Seagram's. Because by the way, Seagram's is what they carry in the Alaska Airlines airplanes, which is what we fly, and I love it with all my heart.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
anyways.
With that being said, who are we talking about today?
So today we were talking about a man named Michael Bruce Ross.
Wow.
Michael Bruce Ross.
A man with two first names.
Actually, like 3 first names.
Yeah, that's true.
Michael Bruce Ross. So his nickname is the Eggman and the Roadside Strangler. I'm going to tell you right now, I have zero fucking ideas why he is the Eggman. Nowhere.
I was going to say, the second one sounds a lot more scarier than the first one.
Nowhere does it tell me why he's nicknamed the Eggman. However, when you read certain articles, it refers to him as the Eggman. I have no idea why. So just
because I'm telling you this, if somebody was like, stay inside, the Eggman's out, I'd be like,
never mind.
Meh.
Actually, I think I just figured it out. But I'll tell you in a minute.
Let's get into it.
So he has 8 victims, and the location of his murders is Connecticut, United States. His murder dates are 1981 to 1984. His method of murder is strangulation, and a characteristic of his murder is rape. I swear it's always rape. There's like never not rape. So a little background on good old Michael. So he was born July 26th, 1959 in Putnam, Connecticut. He was born to Patricia Hilda Lane and Dan Graham Ross. He was the oldest of 4 children. He had 2 younger sisters and 1 younger brother. The family lived on a chicken farm in Brooklyn, New York.
All right, people.
Probably
hey, no,
the
hold up.
Eggman came from that.
I'm going to mute you to hold up. I don't do the research on this. So I hear this for the first time, right? Just like you guys do. So, yeah, makes sense.
What?
That you did all the research and
I couldn't figure out
didn't
why.
understand why he was called the Eggman because he grew up on a chicken farm.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Anyway, so that's probably why he was called the Eggman.
But again, not so scary.
No, not at all. Although he is. He really is. But no, not that.
I know. But like I said, if somebody said, ooh, stay inside, the Eggman's coming, I'd be like, hee. It's like the ice cream man, right? Like,
so he pretty much had a dysfunctional family, as pretty much per usual. His mother would actually beat all of the children, but he actually got most of the beatings. She also had been institutionalized multiple times with some mental health issues, and she had abandoned the family at least one time that is recorded, but probably more than once, where she just one day was like, I don't want this fucking family, and out she goes, and then all of a sudden she's back.
No, we've all been there.
We have not all been there. I don't know.
You liar.
My mom has never just up and left my house.
No, but we've thought about it is what I'm saying.
Oh, I've never thought about like abandoning my family, like my children. You maybe, but not my children.
There's so many times you're like, I just need to get out of this house.
I need to go out of the house.
I just need to get away.
Yeah, because I'm not leaving. I'm not abandoning my family. I need a break from you fucking bitches.
Well,
Most of the time it's you, and it's just, I gotta go.
I mean,
somewhere.
it's tough being around somebody who's always right. So I get it.
Correct, okay.
Some people need to take a break from that.
There was some suggestions that he also may have been molested as a young child. There's not any recorded proof, but there is some suspicions that he had been molested. Now, the suspicions were that his uncle was the one who ended up molesting him. However, his uncle killed himself when Michael was 6 years old, and his uncle was only like 14. So there's some speculation as to what happened there. Now, he did do really well in school. He had good grades, and he pretty much was, he was smart, nothing that would have been like weird about it. Although he did show signs when he was in school of being antisocial, which, to be honest with you, that is not a bad thing. That is not necessarily a bad thing.
We like to call them introverts now.
I am literally the most antisocial introvert you'll ever meet. I'm awful, but I already know you're going to talk about me being psychotic, so I'm just going to let it go. Maybe antisocial is not a good thing. I don't know. But all I'm saying is antisocial by itself is probably not necessarily a bad thing. Some people just don't like people.
You're an introvert,
I'm a
but
total introvert.
Antisocial would be like not even going to Disneyland.
No, because see, here's the thing. I'll go to Disneyland, but don't try to talk to me at Disneyland.
No, but you'll be around
Don't try
people.
to pick up converse. No,
Nope.
Because antisocial people will be around people. They're just not going to talk to you.
Okay.
They're going to keep to themselves. That's what I do.
But also antisocial people won't, when somebody talks to them, tell them their whole life story.
I only do that because I get so nervous because I don't know how to control my inner, I don't even know. I want so badly for people not to think I'm a weird antisocial person.
They're like, ma'am, I like your backpack. You're like, I was born in 1980.
I do all the time. I don't even know. It happened at Disneyland because we had shoes and my shoes are Minnie Mouse, and I had multiple people come up and be like, oh my God, we love your shoes. And every time I'd be like, oh, thank you. And then I'd start to say something and my brain was like, shut up, just shut up and say thank you and move on.
I had matching Mickey Mouse shoes, but apparently they weren't as cool because she only mentioned hers.
I got most of the compliments.
People said
would
we
say
like your shoes,
but I did have a lot of people compliment my shoes.
I got a button.
And it was so incredibly awkward. I was literally like every time somebody would be like, oh my God, I love your shoes, I immediately be like, oh my God, yeah. So I got them and it's like I go into this whole spiel. It's like, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. But damn it, I'm going to tell you because now I'm weird. So anyways, I've always been weird. I've been weird my entire life. Take me for what I am. Anyways, so again, he was showing some signs of being antisocial. And at the age of 12 years old, he actually molested 2 girls. Now, his father beat the absolute shit out of him for this. Listen, I'm not going to judge.
I mean, that's what happened back then.
I'm not going to say okay. And his mother was actually the one who would determine when each child would be punished. And then a lot of the time she would determine they'd be punished. And then the dad would actually be the one that would punish them, which is kind of I feel like that's how it kind of was when I was growing up too. I mean, I didn't get punished that much because, again, I was a very quiet child. But if my brother did something, my mom, there came a point where my mom couldn't punish my brother. So it was always wait till your dad gets home.
I was too fast.
Now, in my household,
I'd run.
I have never once looked at my kids and be like, wait till your dad gets home. No. First of all, I've never beat my children, but I don't need to be. And I definitely don't need to threaten their dad against them because I handle my business. So, but I think it's kind of a thing. Now, he did graduate from school in 1977, and he actually goes on to Cornell University where he studied agriculture or economics. I found 2 different versions. Maybe he studied both. I'm not sure. For those of you who don't know, Cornell is a really prestigious college, so that's how good of a student he was. Now, as he gets older, his antisocial behaviors get worse, as typically it does, especially while he's in college. Now, while he's in college, he actually starts to deal with some shit, like having violent sexual fantasies and having a really hard time not acting on those fantasies. So he would sit in his room in Cornell, have these fantasies, and have a hard time not leaving his dorm to go out and do these things that he was fantasizing about. Now, during his sophomore year of college, he actually starts stalking women. And during his senior year of college, he actually committed his very first rape. And he graduated from the university in May of 1981. On May 12th of 1981, 25-year-old Dung Ngoc Tu, which was a Vietnamese student at Cornell, it was her first year of graduate studies. and she was actually last seen studying at Warren Hall on campus. Now, this hall actually is the same hall that Michael worked for during that time, because again, he graduated in May, so I'm assuming like towards the end of May, but he had a job on campus. Now, she was last seen in this hall. She never returns back to her dorm. The people who knew her in the dorm, people that were her roommates, were like, that's weird. Like, she would not just disappear. She was studying. She's coming back. Like, I don't know. So they end up calling the police because they're very concerned about her. And 5 days later, they find her body in Fall Creek Gorge. Now, she had been raped and strangled, and then her body was pushed into this gorge. Now, her death was actually initially ruled a suicide because of the location that they found the body in. Maybe it wasn't ruled a suicide. They assumed it was a suicide because the location that her body was found was a popular spot for people to commit suicide. So they just automatically assumed, I think, that she had committed suicide until they got her body and examined it and realized that she not only had been strangled, where you can see that she had been strangled, but she had also been raped. January 5th, 1982, Michael kills 17-year-old Tammy Williams. Now, this happens in Brooklyn, Connecticut. And she's walking home from her boyfriend's house, and Michael abducts her near his family's farm. So again, the Eggman makes sense.
Yep.
He's still on the farm.
And there we are.
He's still on the farm. So Eggman makes chicken farm, Eggman. Got it. Okay. So he abducts her near his family's farm. He rapes and strangles her, and Tammy's body isn't found for 18 days. And it's actually found inside like a field stone wall. So her body's like hidden pretty well. Then on March 1st, 1982, 16-year-old Paula Pereira, she's from Wallkill, New York, and she hitches a ride to her boyfriend's home after school with Michael. Again with the hitchhiking. Like, I understand it was the 80s,
yeah,
but by God, I get it.
People did.
But in the 60s and 70s, a bunch of people were murdered. We have talked specifically about somebody who killed. He literally killed people just that were hitchhiking. You would think by the 80s you'd be like, nah, let's not do hitchhiking anymore.
But at the same time, they didn't have the technology to spread the information like we do.
Yeah, but you still saw the news. They had national news and stuff.
Yeah, but not all of it makes national news. And to be honest with you, what 16-year-old is watching national news?
Well, I'll tell you right now, if my 16-year-old ever got caught walking and hitchhiking, if she didn't get killed by a serial killer, she'd be dead.
I mean, you got left at a library.
I did. I didn't hitchhike, but I took a ride home with strangers.
I'm saying.
You're right.
So
you're right.
Let's call a spade here.
You're right. Oh my God, maybe I am a psycho. So what he's referring to really quickly is when I was like 12, 13 years old, my mom had dropped me off at the library to do some schoolwork, and she was in school as well. So she went to school, dropped me off, and at 6:00 the library closes, and it was getting dark because it was like winter time. And I had like dance classes and things I had to get to. And my mom was not there. And so I'm like waiting outside for somebody to pick me up, and nobody has picked me up. And it's me and one girl. We're just sitting outside the library. The librarians, by the way, fuck you guys, because they left and didn't even offer to let us use their phones to call our homes. Nothing, because we didn't have cell phones. And the girl, this car pulls up, and it's her sister. And she's like, goes to get in her car, and her sister like gets out of the car and walks up to me. She's like a high school student. And she was like, do you need a ride home? Because really, like, I don't feel comfortable leaving you outside the library. And I was like, I guess, because I don't.
Yo, shout out to you, whoever you are, responsible as fuck.
For real. She's like, because I don't feel, I don't want to leave you here. And I was like, actually, I guess so. And she's like, okay, yeah, just get in. So I get in the car with these people that I've never met before. And I give her directions to my house, and I get home, and I walk in the door, and my mom, because I have to be at dance in like a half an hour. I walk in the door, and my mom's home, and she looks at me, she goes, where have you been? And I was like, at the library where you left me. And she was like, oh my God, I would have slept there. Nobody knew my mom had no idea where I was, but she left me there. And you're right. I did get in the car with complete strangers, and they could have been serial killers because it was a girl and her sister. Like, yep. I just trusted that they were, oh my gosh, you're right. Okay, no judgment then. No judgment. Although this girl was hitchhiking to go see her boyfriend, but still no judgment. So anyway, so she's hitchhiking to go see her boyfriend. She hops in a car with Michael, who's like, yeah, I'll take you. And this was the last time anyone saw her. Michael rapes and strangles her on the side of the road near Middletown, and he dumps her body into a marsh, and her body is found on March 20th. So it takes like 19 days to find her body. Then on June 15th, 1982, 23-year-old Deborah Smith Taylor from Griswold, Connecticut. She's walking down the side of the road near Danielson. Now, her husband and her had run out of gas on the side of the road, and they decided to split up and go in opposite directions to go find help.
Wrong. I've seen way too many scary movies.
For real.
You do not split up.
Absolutely not. And also, just no. Not even scary movies, true crime in general. No.
Yeah. No.
You don't divide and conquer. You just go together. And if you die, you die together. So they were looking for either a gas station or maybe like a home or catching a ride by somebody. And so they decide it's better if we go opposite directions because we'll most likely one of us will come across something. So they split up. Well, Michael happens to come across Deborah. And Michael pulls over and basically says like, hey, what do you need? Like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, I need a ride to a gas station, or I need a ride back to my car, but I'm out of gas. Okay. He's like, I got you. Come on, get in the car. Well, her body is found 3 months later in Canterbury, Connecticut. So he rapes and strangles her as well. Then on November 19th, 1983, 19-year-old Robin Dawn Stavinsky from Norwich, Connecticut. She's actually hitchhiking and she comes across Michael and she is raped and strangled. And her body is found November 23rd by joggers at the entrance of Uncas on the Thames Hospital in Norwich. Now, this is actually a wooded area that surrounds the hospital. So there's like an entrance to this wooded area and some joggers came in. They saw her body. She is found. Then on April 22nd, 1984, April Bernius, who is 14, and Leslie Shelley, who is also 14. They're both from Griswold, Connecticut. Now, Michael kidnaps these two girls from a nearby pizza parlor. They're like walking home from this pizza parlor, and he binds and gags them. He then rapes April, and then he strangles both girls and kills them. Now he dumps their bodies in a culvert in Preston, and this is about 9 miles away from their hometown. So he literally snatches them, drives them out, does his stuff, and then leaves their bodies. Then on June 13th, 1984, Wendy Barabalt, she was 17. He actually picks her up while he's driving on the highway. He rapes and strangles her as well. And he leaves her body under a pile of rocks, which is found 2 days later. So now you can like understand why he's called the Roadside Strangler. Like the Roadside Strangler.
Leaves them on the side of the road.
The Roadside Strangler made sense. Eggman. I still I understand why, but like ma'ams and sirs. Anyways, so obviously he gets caught at some point. So the police are actually given a description of the car that Wendy was last seen getting into. So his last victim, somebody saw her get into this car, and they say it's a blue Toyota and there was a thin white man with glasses who was driving the car, and police are like, okay, cool. So they go to the DMV, they get records on any blue Toyota. They actually called it a subcompact blue Toyota, so I don't really know what that means.
Small.
Okay, so that means they ruled out like trucks and stuff, I guess.
Yeah,
okay.
Subcompact is like, think of a compact car, which would be like a Toyota Corolla, smaller than that. Toyota Yaris would be a subcompact.
What kind of a Toyota would have been a little tiny one back then?
Well, back then it could have been a Corolla.
That's true.
They definitely got a lot smaller. Toyota Celicas were small back then. So
okay, well, they basically described it was a blue subcompact Toyota car with a white man, thin, with glasses. So they go to the DMV, they look up literally blue Toyota and like all the like small Toyotas, and then they look up the drivers that are registered to these Toyotas, and it ends up bringing them to Michael. Because they find out that, well, not only does Michael match the description of a thin white man with glasses, but he also lives in Jewett City at the same time, which is literally close to where all the bodies have been found. So they were kind of like, this seems a little sus. Let's go have a chat. Let's go find Michael. Another thing that they found was that all of the women were strangled in the same way. So they immediately were already like, okay, so I think we're dealing with a serial killer.
Yeah.
We're dealing with somebody who's literally out there, same person doing this. Okay, so when they make the connection of Wendy, then they're kind of like, okay, this guy might be responsible for all, because originally they're just looking for the murderer of Wendy. But when they start to really compare what happened to her, where she's found, how she's strangled, what's happened to her, and they're matching it up with all these people in the area, and they're like, think it's all the same person. So in June of 1984, police feel that they have enough evidence to arrest Michael, and they bring him in for questioning. And during this questioning process, Michael actually ends up confessing to the murders. He goes to trial, and he is convicted of 4 of the murders because he doesn't actually admit to all of them. So he is actually convicted of the murder of Robin Dawn Stavinsky, which was the woman who was separated from her husband, April Brunius and Leslie Shelley, which were the 2 14-year-old girls, and Wendy Barabalt, which is the one that actually kind of cracked this case. Now, on July 6th of 1987, he is sentenced to death. Now, while he's in prison, he actually ends up meeting a woman named Susan Powers, and they become engaged.
I don't
want to laugh. I'm sorry. I know it bothers you guys when I laugh. I know it bothers people when I laugh, but are you fucking crazy? Like, really? You choose to get engaged to somebody who killed a bunch of women willingly and admitted to it? I will never fucking understand that concept ever. I feel the same way about Gypsy Rose. Like, how the fuck that girl got out of prison and had a husband and then left her husband for another man, and now she's got another like, what the fuck? She killed her mom. Like, I don't understand how we can be like, oh, we love them. Like, no, we don't. Anyways, they become engaged. Well, she does end the relationship in 2003, but she does continue to visit him. They're just not engaged anymore. Now, while he's in prison, he also meets regularly with a priest, and he becomes a devout Catholic. And he actually ended up supporting his own death sentence. Like, literally came out and said, I'm not going to appeal this. He basically said he doesn't want to continue to try to appeal the sentence. He doesn't want to fight to live because he wants to spare the families of the victims any further harm and any further emotional, sadness. Now, an hour before his planned execution, his lawyer actually obtains a 2-day stay of execution. This is then rescheduled for January 29th, 2005. Now, there ends up being some questions about his mental competency, and the execution is again postponed. Now, what his lawyers and families had said is that they felt that he was suffering from what is called death row syndrome. So what death row syndrome is I believe 100% that it's a real thing. But if you're on death row, too fucking bad, bro. like I'm sorry. What death row syndrome is being locked away because you're locked in your cells for 23 out of 24 hours a day. So you get 1 hour out of your cell a day. You're basically in solitary confinement. And by the way, he was in there since 1984 because that's when he was arrested. Well, 1987 because that's when he was given the death penalty. So, and we're talking, this is 2005. So he's been on death row this whole time.
Yeah, it's been like
23 hours. Yeah, 23 hours lockdown, whatever. They said that so when people live in that condition, it can make you kind of go crazy, right? And so what they were saying is that because he was living on death row this whole time, he wanted to end his own pain, and that he had actually attempted suicide 3 times while he was on death row, and that he stopped fighting against the death sentence, and he gave up his ability to appeal anymore, and he was like, I'm fucking done with it. And they're saying it's because
it's basically a way of suicide. So he's just
basically where he's like, I'm just fucking done with this. Like, he's defeated, but at the same time, like I said, that's like, you're there for a reason. Like, I'm not going to feel bad for you because you're in lockdown for 23 hours a day. Like, you killed 8 women. Okay, sorry. So he actually stated, I owe these people. I killed their daughters. If I could stop the pain, I have to do that. This is my right. I don't think there's anything crazy or incompetent about that. So his lawyers and family came out and said, he's got some mental competency issues because the fact that he's not willing to even try to appeal anymore, and the fact that he's tried to commit suicide 3 times, like he's suffering obviously from some sort of mental health issue. And he came out and said, no, I'm not. I'm literally telling you I want to die because I fucking hurt these people and I don't want these people to hurt anymore. That's not crazy. That's me basically turning over a new leaf. And to be honest, if he became a devout Catholic, suicide is totally against the Catholic religion. Yeah. However, I could see him accepting the death sentence and not and taking accountability and being like, well, this is the hand I'm dealt. I'm going to deal with it. Because if he truly was a devout Catholic, then he knows that when he dies, he's going to have a chance to go to heaven if that's where he wants to be. And if this is his way of doing it, I mean, it sucks for his family because they don't want him to die, but at the same time, he was going to die at some point. He killed 8 women. So, I mean, oh well. So on May 13th, 2005, Michael is executed by lethal injection. His last meal was the same as all the other inmates that day too. He didn't ask for a special meal like most death row inmates. So what he actually ate was turkey a la king with rice, vegetables, white bread, fruit, and a drink. So he did not have like some special meal, whatever, which again, I mean, some of them don't. I always find it interesting to see what they eat.
Yeah.
He also had no final words or statement. He was asked if he wanted to say something. He said no. He said, I'm ready to die. So that's the story. Okay. That's the story of Michael.
The Eggman.
Michael the Eggman. Michael the Eggman Ross, or Michael Bruce Ross, or Michael the Roadside Strangler. So that's the story of him. I do have some shots, obviously, because that's what we do. So Michael had an IQ of 155. I clearly don't have an IQ of 155, but I was curious, like, is that high? What is that, right? So I looked it up. So a high IQ is anything above 130. Anything above 130 gets you the ability to try to join Mensa, which is the top 2% of I think it's just the United States, but it's the top 2% of the smartest people, meaning your IQ is higher than 130. However, a genius IQ is above 145. So Michael was actually a genius. Now, Michael was eventually diagnosed with sexual sadism and antisocial personality disorder, which for those of you that don't know, antisocial personality disorder is also sometimes referred to as sociopaths. So just so you know, they don't really use the term sociopath anymore, but that is what it is. Now, while he's in prison, Michael actually learned Braille. He took on the role of big brother for other inmates and sponsored a child from the Dominican Republic.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this guy like went from being like this nasty murderer to like all of a sudden just like changed.
And it could be through the finding of God and
I mean,
and all
it
that
could
stuff,
be, but
so.
I'm going to be honest. I was raised Catholic, and in no way, shape, or form do I think that Catholicism made him turn into a different person. What I think is that he knew he was never getting out of jail, and he knew he was going to die in jail. So he was just doing the best. He was doing as much good as he could before he left.
The guy was a genius, so he probably had something going on in his brain.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, man, killing women just because, like, come the fuck on. I can't get past that. He had
No, and I'm not getting past it either. What I'm saying is he's caught. He knows he's going to die in there, so, he's... Like you said,
it's weird.
He's trying to do all the good he can.
But
he's
why?
listening to the priest.
That's what I'm saying. But like,
trying
why?
to get redemption.
Maybe that's why. Because I'm like, why are you trying to do all this good shit when you literally killed 8 women? So like, I don't understand these things. Because like, do you think that me as a person is going to look at you and go, "Oh, look at all the good you've done since you've been in prison. You don't need to die." No.
How do you sponsor a child when you're in jail? Because
well,
don't you
if
send
he has,
money?
well,
Or you get it from
family,
your commissary.
I mean, he had family, right? So his family is very active with him. So most likely he sponsored, and they would send the money or something. I don't know.
He's like, "Here, a pack of smokes."
Like, I don't know. Now, Michael's execution was the first one to occur in Connecticut since 1960. And it was also the only lethal injection execution in Connecticut to date.
Wow.
Now,
one and done.
Yeah. Many people actually fought for his sentence to be commuted to life. Like, he had a shit ton of people like outside prior to him dying. He had people going to bat for him. And again, he didn't even want to appeal it. So there's really not much you can do when he doesn't want to appeal it.
Right.
Now, in particular, one of his biggest supporters was a woman named Vivian Dobson. Vivian Dobson also happened to be one of his rape victims. She literally fought to save his life, which I commend you, Vivian. I don't understand that. I think I'm just like a cold-hearted son of a bitch, because in my brain, I'm like, nah, like there's no part of me that would want to save somebody. No matter how much you tried to change, found God, tried to get redemption, I would never be able to forgive like that. I don't forgive anyways. Like in any, like I literally hold a grudge against people to this day. I have people that are not in my life, but I have people who were in my life that if they ever step foot in front of my face, I'd sock them in their goddamn throat as hard as I could.
And she don't forget. She's like, remember that time in 1932?
I really don't.
11:05, 30 seconds. You said this.
I do, because I am a very loyal person, and I am a good person. And if you're not going to be the same, fuck right off. So I just don't have it for that. So Vivian Dobson, you are a real one, because I could never have stood out there and tried to fight for this man to live. Now, Michael also became a suspect in other rapes and murders in the state of Indiana as well. But obviously he is dead, and so are these victims. So they don't know, they can't put anything on him.
They just speculate.
Now, his nickname, the Roadside Killer, this was actually not given to him until a British television series. They did a series about serial killers in like 2000 and like, maybe it was, well, like I think it was like in the early 2000s is when they did this thing. And they interviewed serial killers, and they gave him the nickname, the Roadside Killer, because all the other serial killers that were on their show had nicknames. He was the only one that didn't have one. So they're like, what should we call him?
And they couldn't call him the Eggman. People wouldn't understand where that came from.
They'd be like, what? So he was not actually named.
They're like, what do we call you? He's like, the Eggman. They're like, no.
They're like, try again. He's like BTK, like picking out his own names.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, someday we'll do BTK, but BTK stands for bind, torture, kill, and BTK picked out his own fucking name. He literally wrote it to the like newspaper, like, you should call me this. I mean, he didn't obviously pick his name, but on a British television show apparently did. Michael was also nicknamed while on death row. He was nicknamed Death Row Romeo because of how many women he was corresponding with while he was on death row. Which again, girls, keep your shit together. Why are we sending these things to serial killers? Why are we being friends with them? So after he's executed, Dr. Stuart Grasson, which was a psychiatrist who argued that Michael was not competent enough to waive his appeal on his death sentence, like he came forward and said, he was part of, I think he was part of the defense, but he basically came forward and said, he most definitely is not competent. Like, he's not sane right now. So you can't just like, you should grant him a stay of execution until we can get like his mind right so that he can decide if he actually wants to appeal or not. And you guys aren't allowing that. So he fought for it. And what he said was that he actually received a letter on the day that Michael was put to death. So remember, Michael was put to death on May 13th. He actually had a letter that was put on his desk the day that Michael was put to death. And this letter was dated May 10th. So this letter was dated 3 days prior. And it literally said, check and mate, you never had a chance.
Told you. Genius.
You're not wrong.
In play.
You're not wrong. I think he, like you said, I think he just, I don't think he actually felt bad for what he did. I don't think he was
I
repenting.
think he just didn't want to be in jail anymore, and he knew that was the way out.
Yeah, I think he absolutely calculated it. However, let's just say this, though. If he did calculate it, then he was in his competent frame of mind.
Absolutely.
To go to death row. And he chose to go to death row because it was a guaranteed way for him to die. And honestly, like, listen, if I'm on death row, kill me. Like, don't fucking make me live in that damn 23-hour lockdown shit. Just kill me. I just fucking kill me. There, if I'm there and I know that I did this shit, just fucking kill me. I'm done. It doesn't matter. So I think that's kind of what he felt. But I don't think at any point was he like, oh, I feel bad for the families and I want to put them out of their misery. No, I think he was miserable and I think he just wanted to get out. And I think you are correct. I think that his family wanted to save him and think that he was insane, but I don't think he was. I think he absolutely was of sound mind. And I mean, hello, the note itself would tell you, he literally tells his lawyer, like, check and mate, you didn't have a chance to save me because I didn't fucking want you to. Well, at least that's how I take it. I don't know if that's true.
That's
means,
kind
but
of
that's
how
what it
I'm
sounds
taking
like.
it too, for sure.
So anyways, that is the story of Michael Bruce Ross.
The Eggman.
The man with 3 names, or the Eggman, or the Roadside Strangler, who was named by a British television show.
Or the Death Row Romeo.
Oh, yeah. Or the Death Row Romeo. He had a lot of nicknames.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the story. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as we, always, I hope you always do. So if you like what you hear, as always, please make sure you're following us. If you're not following, click the follow button, because all that's going to do is give you a little notification every Thursday when a new episode drops. Then you can listen to us all the time.
Yeah. Tell your friends, tell your family. We'll keep going.
Of course. And follow our socials if you have not.
Yeah.
If you're a social person, we got the TikTok, Tickety Talk, we've got the Instagram, and we've got the Facebook. So
leave some comments. We're always checking.
Other than that, I think this is the part where I'm going to say thank you so much for listening to us talk about Michael Ross. And until next time, goodbye.
Yep. And I'll follow it up with bye-bye.
Remember to lock your doors and bar your windows. Until next time.